August 12th, another Monday Night Raw in the books, and it's time for your post-Raw recap here on Wrestling Inc. I'm your host, Justin LaBar, being joined, as always, by the man who runs the whole show, Mr. Raj Giri, and the Blueprint, Matt Morgan. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
I'm good, man. It's been a long few days already, but I thought tonight's Raw was fun.
Where the hell's Glenn?
Oh, be quiet.
He's meeting up with you later this week.
Ask the man with a Cowboys hat on. Look at this. All right, guys.
Dak Prescott, $40 million.
Worth every penny.
All right, guys, let's get into Raw tonight. Still in Toronto as they have the residency this week. We kick it off with the new Universal Champion, the Beast Slayer, Seth Rollins. It comes out, recaps the match with Brock Lesnar, gives credit to the fans about them supporting him in what was a fight to the death with Brock. And then he's interrupted by AJ Styles and the OC, ultimately making a challenge for the night against Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins accepts, talks about how he used to respect AJ Styles, but not anymore. Our main event match is made right off the bat. Not first time ever in WWE, but certainly not a match that too many would ever complain about seeing, at least bell-to-bell wise, in AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. Matt, were you excited by this?
The match, yeah, just like the fans, they were chanting yes. And it's one of those scenarios where the characters actually a little bit get thrown out the window because, you know what, Raj, we keep talking about how much we love characters and things of that nature. Well, tonight it should have been, they should have cheered Seth along when he said he's lost respect for AJ. Instead, they were chanting yes, 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 because they want to see that match so much. So sometimes matches and the potential like match itself, right, and the work rate and all that other crap, sometimes these fans nowadays would rather see that is what I got out of that, right? Mm-hmm. You know, Seth was his ultimate babyface, his underdog story he was talking about, and they kind of just like, F that, AJ's out here now, cool. We want to see this match,
right? Yeah, absolutely. And that's where sometimes I feel like I have a disconnect as far as showing wrestling to my friends today, because the "This is awesome" chant back in my day, you don't want that. You want to be like cheering for the babyface and booing the heel. You're not watching the match as a performance. You're watching it as you want the one guy to win.
Yes.
And yeah, they weren't booing AJ here. It wasn't like a grudge match that they were going to see. It was a match with moves, and you know, yes, that two great in-ring workers. That being said, I was excited, but I am a hardcore fan. But yeah, I would say, I mean, we'll get to it. But as far as the matches that they have, I thought this was the weakest of the ones that they've had. But yeah, the ending kind of, you know, left a lot to be desired.
And like what Matt's talking about, you can definitely get away with it in a week like this, in a crowd that you know that you've convinced to sell out that arena for 4 straight nights with NXT, SummerSlam, and then Raw and SmackDown. You know you're going to have a wrestling, a work rate thirsty crowd, more than likely, at least the majority of them. So yeah, you can kind of throw characters aside and just sell it on the fact that these two guys, what they do bell to bell. So we move on. They give some.
One more thing about this, I feel like every time Seth cuts a promo, like he'll get me, like he got me back last night with this match with Brock. I thought it was great. And then when he's cutting a promo, I'm like, you know, kind of losing it again.
He was annoying again.
Yes, exactly. I feel like he's just kind of a pandering, annoying babyface.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
What do you think, Justin?
I mean, I always prefer him as a heel, Seth Rollins, absolutely. But even though he works a very babyface conducive style, he's more enjoyable as a heel to all the things you're saying on the mic. But
him and AJ have the same exact problem.
Yeah.
AJ is more whiny, but they're both babyface in how they wrestle.
Yeah.
Trying to be heel, you know what I mean? I don't know.
And then you see AJ, since he's turned heel, he just seems a lot more comfortable, just a lot more of a character than he was as a babyface.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one guy who plays a really good heel is Sami Zayn. We get a backstage segment with the Street Profits, and Sami Zayn comes in and continues more and more of the, you know, this is what's wrong with the company, this is what's wrong with the fans. You guys have been here for a minute. You're happy now, but just wait until you're here longer. And then the Street Profits kind of comically goad him into talking crap on Samoa Joe while Samoa Joe's standing behind him. This sets up for Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn. Zayn, of course, referencing how Joe was showing a little bit of compassion for Roman Reigns the week before when Roman almost got hit by that car. So sets up for Sami Zayn versus Samoa Joe. We get that after the commercial. And not much to say here. This is pretty quick and decisive for Samoa Joe getting a victory, who then cuts a heel promo, Raj? Is that what
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. It seemed like this seemed like the start of a babyface turn, and then right after the match, he cut a heel promo, which I liked. I hate when they do a complete 180 the next week when they turn heel or babyface. When they do a turn, then all of a sudden they're a completely different person. I like that Joe is kind of still himself. I don't know if you watched wrestling in the 80s, but when Roddy Piper turned heel on Hogan, turned babyface, it took a long time before he was really acting like a babyface. He kind of kept that heel persona. He kind of kept his character how it was. He teamed with Hogan in Madison Square Garden, just left him laying, walked out on him. So I've always liked that. I feel like it's more realistic as far as character goes.
Yeah.
I'll say this too. Well, Sami Zayn, he brought up some stuff, Matt, that I was like, did they take this from our podcast where he's talking about like how Seth has lost his edge as a babyface and how Becky was much better earlier this year, with her character, and then they had watered her down. It just seemed like stuff.
And the Street Profits themselves.
No, I thought the Street Profits tonight were better than usual. I thought
they were, but once again, they're the general manager of Raw again. They're celebrity general manager of Raw tonight. If you really watch like what they were responsible for tonight, when you think about it,
yeah,
they narrated the show once again, and they made a match essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. Dawkins being hungover from SummerSlam weekend, I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's funny spots in it for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and somewhere in here in the teases and commercials between these segments, right about this point, they announced next Monday it is the return of the King of the Ring, and they didn't give us. They did tell us later on that Drew McIntyre and Cedric Alexander would both be in it, and I believe Renee Young. I think she mentioned 8 superstars from Raw, 8 from SmackDown. So that we can talk more about that. That kind of leads me to believe that this is going to not just be a one-night thing. This might go over the course of at least next week's Raw and SmackDown. As they bring back the King of the Ring again. So I don't know. So I don't know if that excites you guys. It seems
I thought they made this specifically for Drew McIntyre. I'll be honest. I have no proof of that. I didn't talk to anybody. It just feels like if I was on the creative team and we had King of the Ring, and I know I'd ask that question. I go, why are we not using King of the Ring right now? We've got a guy right now that doesn't have a title that needs a title. He's super over. We kind of screwed him up with Shane McMahon. What a great way to get him out. And Drew McIntyre, we're doing King of the Ring.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. Drew immediately popped in my head. Ricochet kind of did too, just because he's lost so much to AJ.
King Ricochet, it works. That does work. Drew needs.
Right, yeah, and to your point, Matt, King of the Ring has traditionally been a heel thing. Like if you're gonna wear the robe and the crown, that's kind of a heel move. Barrett was great at it. He was the last one.
Yes.
I was gonna say they've been big about having European guys win the King of the Ring. I mean, look at Barrett, Regal. I think didn't Sheamus win it at some point? So Drew kind of fits in that big body guy that doesn't have as Matt said, doesn't have a title but needs some kind of extra prestige attached to him.
If it is Drew, I hope they don't go the route of him wearing the cape and everything, though. I feel like he looks, like Stone Cold Brock. They never wore the cape and had the scepter. I think it just doesn't fit Drew.
No. Or it could be Baron Corbin. He could pop up and become king. That would be very par for the course.
No. But yeah.
He's been MIA since the last pay-per-view. He's been working house shows, but
good.
Yeah.
All right, so we move on. Next match, The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler. Of course, is coming off of Dolph Ziggler getting 3 dominant spears from Goldberg at SummerSlam. This match here, back and forth. Miz ultimately ends up winning, making Ziggler tap with the figure 4. And then Ziggler pulls more of the same that he did against Goldberg, where he grabs the mic, he's agonizing in pain. Says it's just a flesh wound for you Monty Python fans.
Yeah.
And just continues to talk trash as he's down on his luck. Matt,
are you reminded me of the Monty Python stuff?
Yeah. Well, the quote was from Monty Python, but it also reminded me of a few Austin Powers fans. Will Ferrell played an assassin named Mustafa who kept getting shot and thrown over cliffs, and
it's very painful.
It's very painful.
Yeah,
I appear to be badly burnt. If somebody could, that's all I could think about was that. But, My left leg seems to be broken. I'm gonna try the other one. Oh, damn, that one's broken too. Matt, are you entertained by this with Dolph Ziggler?
I don't know. I mean, we're laughing with. We added more spice to it though, but it's no. Okay, just no.
I mean, I found his post-match stuff entertaining, but Dolph is one of those guys. When I look at talent in WWE, he's just been wasted. I mean, they could push him for the next 6 months and just give him this long, and it doesn't matter. He's someone that needs a jump to like a New Japan or an AEW or something like that. That complete change of environment and kind of
like Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and this rebirth with WCW, we had that back in the day where when talent got stale, they could just jump over. I mean, people forget Scott Hall was a cool character as Razor Ramon, but he was getting pretty stale. And goes to WCW and they revitalize the business. So
it makes me wonder with Dolph. Obviously, Dolph, he's made millions. I mean, obviously, he's made money, and he's in good shape, and he's able to kind of go off and do some other things in the political and comedy world. Like, I wonder, is it just a sense of like, he's a WWE guy and he's just comfortable with the living, or like, I mean, would he want a creative, fresh start? Obviously, he wouldn't be Dolph Ziggler the name. Would he want to go to an AEW?
You would think so. I always think so, and then always proven wrong when he re-signs.
Right.
So I don't know.
No.
But in the past, when he re-signed it, there was no real place to go.
Well, true. And the other thing that's always been kind of...
but he's that rich where he could go play with himself for the next year, 2 years, go away and come back. That's the most important part, to get him off of TV and then bring him back a couple years later. Like, he needs the time away from WWE TV altogether.
Yeah. And one of the interesting things, just to touch on like the real life aspect of this, I mean, this is a business. I know some fans are a little shocked that Gallows and Anderson decided to stay. They don't go to AEW, go to New Japan, and they sign apparently new, very nice contracts with WWE. But I often say to those fans, look, both those guys have kids. Those kids are in schools here in America. They don't want to be on the other side of the world, away from them, or taking them around. There's a family aspect to it, Matt. You have a family, this too. But with Dolph, I mean, he's not married. I don't think he has any kids that we like. So, like, that always comes to my mind, is that this is a guy with a different situation.
It's the same answer. Nobody knows.
Yeah, I don't know. But, anyways, nonetheless, the Dolph Ziggler. I'm entertained by it. I don't know what the point is, but I'm entertained by it nonetheless. So what they're doing.
He did it great. Like him doing that stuff at the end was great. But yeah.
Elias back for another concert. This is coming off of him being speared by being attacked by another legend and Edge the night before. Elias notes he's going to get interrupted. He does get interrupted by Ricochet. That works into a match. Ricochet gets the win here. Pretty straight cut. Elias not getting too many victories. He's
not.
He does get a title win here in a little bit. We'll talk about, but Ricochet getting back on the winning ways after losing to AJ Styles the night before.
Yep.
Yeah, they're kind of turning him into Santino, where he's entertaining, but he never wins. And man, Elias, I mean, he's just got he's a big dude and he's got the look that they like. I almost feel like you just drop the music gimmick and try to be in a tag team or something to kind of reinvent yourself a little bit, because this the path he's on right now it's I mean, look, he's headed into 24/7 territory, which is it is what it is.
It's funny you say that about the music gimmick, Raj, though, because you look, Elias has had a hell of an evolution. I mean, he started as he was the Drifter, and then it's like it's evolved into this, rock star kind of thing. And but they just seemed like they don't follow through anything. I don't know, it's weird with him.
No, it was inconsistent with him.
Yeah, inconsistent.
And he's also just been on cruise control. Like, they've been doing the same thing with him. I mean, him getting beat up by legends that, they did that 2 WrestleManias ago.
And that's when him being the music guy can hurt him at times, because they can throw him into any sketch comedy segment now. Yeah. When they need a curveball to throw at the show, right? To get a different feel and a different aesthetic to it. They can throw him out there and have him get killed or mauled or laughed at or crap dumped on him, or somebody piss on him, or somebody lights him on fire, or somebody throws him in front of a car that runs him over, whatever have you. It's all the same end game, right? It's because he's singing. If he wasn't singing, I also would be fearful he wouldn't be on TV as much. Either. Right. So if I don't know.
And that's when you do it. Would you rather be Elias, who can say he's had?
I'd rather be on Yeah, I'd rather be on TV and go through what he's going through,
Right.
and trust in myself to eventually take one of these segments and go, oops, I didn't mean to say that. I hope that was okay. You know what? Yeah, you weren't supposed to say it, but that was a freaking home run. Good job, kid. He needs to do that.
Exactly. And this is a guy who's had segments with Edge, The Undertaker, John Cena. Yeah, I mean, and I'm leaving out so many others, but so yeah, it's do you want to be that, or do you want to be Robert Roode? Yeah,
Right.
you know what I mean? So it's
22 with that, so is Heath Slater. You know what I mean? He can say similar things. He's not a featured star, but he's done the JOB to every single one of those people. Sergeant Slaughter, throw him in there too. Sid, everyone else, right? All these classical superstars. So something's got to change here for him, and quick, because he is still considered somewhat like a young star, right? At least in my book, he kind of is.
Yeah.
And
he's still in his 20s.
So. There's nothing about him that's not, in my opinion, a main event talent one day down the road.
He's got the look. He's got the promo skills. He can go on the mic. I mean, those are some of the most important things. I mean, he might not be the best in-ring worker or anything like that, but that's what I was saying. If you put him in a tag team for a little bit with someone and just get him out there working a little more, I think he'll get better.
Well, talk about young stars. We get a 2 out of 3 falls match here. Rey Mysterio versus Andrade. I cringed at the 2 out of 3. We've seen a lot of it this summer as they've tried to do different tricks to avoid commercials during matches. But this I wasn't as cringeworthy because I'm like, all right, this is just going to be phenomenal to watch these two. We've seen it before, and it's always delivered. And this one, a surprise for 2 out of 3 falls match, is a clean sweep. Both the falls going to Andrade, which then goes to Rey Mysterio backstage being interviewed, and he kind of does this, questioning where he's at in his career, and he's got a family, and he's never lost 2 falls like this. So it seemed to be foreshadowing, Matt, something with Rey, at a fork in the road, and talking about his family and where he's at and on the tail end of his career.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head. Yeah, that's exactly what we saw. I like the part that it was a clean sweep. It plays into the storyline. It also shows that not every 2 out of 3 fall matches is going to go 3 matches long. The right guy won. They need to be getting the younger guy over. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah, it feels like they're kind of rebooting the storyline they had earlier this year, where Andrade was beating Rey a bunch, and then they just kind of dropped it. And so it's kind of like they're going back to it. But I think it's great. Rey, we had an interview with him on Wrestling Inc. A few weeks ago where he talked about Andrade and how he really wants to help build his career, and stuff like this with them trading victories does not help his career as much as Andrade just dominating him and Rey, trying to figure out what he can do to beat this kid. So I'm digging it, and it kind of leaves you wondering where they're going, and so I like it.
Yeah, let's see if they get some consistency. Andrade's a guy, he's gotten some wins, but it's never been really they don't string it together. We don't see him every week guaranteed on TV. So
right. The problem is when he gets a couple wins, then all of a sudden he's losing to random guys, for the next month.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time for the infomercial for Stone Cold Steve Austin, as we have Michael Cole doing the interview with Austin via Skype, not via satellite. Nice to see that they're hanging in 2019 here. Basically, they get Austin to talk and put over Seth Rollins' victory on Brock Lesnar, and then they go right into just obviously promoting straight up Steve Austin on the USA Network after Raw tonight. It's always good to see. He's probably my all-time favorite. It's always good to see Austin on TV, but obviously this nothing more than an infomercial, really, right?
Yeah, but it also never hurts to have Stone Cold Steve Austin putting over your champion,
sure.
Especially Seth Rollins, who desperately needs it. And it was great, his vote of confidence in Seth, and verbatim what he was saying about Seth. He got Seth over, I thought, tonight. I really do.
Yeah, he really didn't plug his show at all. He said, they mentioned it at the end of the promo, and Austin just said, "Oh hell yeah!" And I think that's one of the cases where Austin reading the temperature in the room. I'm sure he knows that if he plugged the show hard, if he talked forever about the show, I don't think the crowd would ever boo him, but they'd probably go quiet. You remember Shawn Michaels when he was plugging his movie on Raw a couple of years ago, The Resurrection of Gavin Stone, and everyone was just booing him after a while because he just kept harping on it.
Steve's also one of the boys, though. I didn't read it that way. I read it. Steve is legit seeing a guy at the top struggling a little bit and really going overboard. That was overboard in a good way. of making sure that he gave this kid his rub and did it the right way for others to look at and say, this is how you're supposed to be doing this stuff. And it also shows us that it is the WWE management that is always making sure there's super duper stars that come back that are retired and things like that. When they come back, it's them that are not getting the younger guys to work against them and put the younger guys over. It ain't the older guys trying to hold on to their spots. Now, between Scott Hall and what I saw, like Steve talking tonight, Steve was legit talking.
Yeah. So I agree 100%. What I was talking about was after he talked about Rollins, and then they transitioned to the show, and Austin was not talking about a show. He just kind of dropped, was like, yeah. And so he wasn't doing the hard sell for his show, and he put Rollins over strong. So I mean, I really liked that segment. I liked how they didn't go overboard with promoting the show, because that can hurt sometimes, especially with a character like Austin.
Oh, it can absolutely hurt. I mean, it was random. It was obvious why they're doing it tonight because of the promotion. But yeah, I mean, to what Matt originally said, it never hurts when you see Austin on TV. So that's,
And not to mention, Austin, you believe it when he's talking. He doesn't sound like he's just reading a script or doing what they told him to say.
All right, so we get Drew McIntyre versus Cedric Alexander. That's our next match. And again, they note that both of these guys will be in the King of the Ring. We haven't seen any brackets, so we don't know who else is all in it. But maybe the match of the night, guys, here. I mean, Drew versus Cedric. This is really,
Drew versus Cedric?
Yeah.
No, AJ versus Seth.
You go AJ versus Seth? Okay.
Really? I thought this match was awesome.
I go with this match. I don't know.
And we're saying matches, right? We can't say segments, so I'm going with, what's her name? Sasha.
Right. Yeah, Sasha was definitely the segment of the night. But, I mean, these guys, I thought Drew was just going to go in there and kill Cedric,
Right.
And
yeah, that's true.
It ended up being super competitive. And then...
I didn't want it to be super competitive, though. I think that's why I'm not giving it the credit it probably deserves, because I don't see that's how you should be booking Drew.
Yeah, I could see that as well. And I made mention of that on Twitter, that Drew should be at the top of the card, but... That being said, I mean, he had his working shoes on tonight. He shows he can hang with basically a guy who was on 205 Live 6 months ago, and that Claymore kick at the end. I thought this was
a great sell by Cedric.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was a really fun match. To Matt's point, I don't know if that's the best way to use Drew. Like maybe he should be squashing these guys, but still the crowd loved it. They were into it, and it was hot.
Drew's one of those guys to me. He's just like Randy Orton. He's one of those guys who, I mean, minus he doesn't have the pedigree that Orton has, but he's and I know JBL said that. I think he's like that guy. If you can create a wrestler, and this is like what you would create the image of, and the smoothness in the ring. Whether it's King of the Ring or whatever, I'd love to see them start using Drew more in the position of attracting new eyes. Of like, this looks like a badass who does badass things. I mean, he was
right.
So great showing by both guys. Drew gets the win. Again, going into King of the Ring next week, where at least on this panel, we view him as a heavy favorite. I got some backstage stuff. The OC, of course, building for the match tonight. We see Paul Heyman backstage, so teasing that he's there. We get a very random Robert Roode versus No Way Jose match, and as they're doing this brief match that Roode gets the win, they're also teasing and split screen that we're going to go to Heyman's interview. Robert Roode versus No Way Jose. Thoughts?
You got to win.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I mean, every time I see Roode get a win, I'm hoping this is the start of something for him. And within a week or two, it's forgotten about. I hope this is the start of something for him.
I mean, do they give it to him just because they're in Canton, they're in Toronto? So just
it's a very good sign of respect if that's the case. They usually reserve that for their higher, talent. Not just every single talent that's from that place. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll see if they follow up with it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a quick win. Roode, he got rid of the porn mustache. He's back to the beard. But, yeah, I'd like to see more from him.
But he's still Robert, not Bobby.
He's still Robert, yeah.
Still Robert. We go to Charlie Caruso backstage with Paul Heyman, and this one, short and sweet, not too much in it. Basically just Heyman reiterating what was already released on social media earlier today, which is Brock Lesnar will not get a rematch against Seth Rollins. So they're just kind of taking that booking avenue off the table to us that, that's not going to happen. Heyman just flustered. How do I explain it to my client? And he storms off into Brock's dressing room, and that's all we get out of that. So just on that, guys, I don't know what you. I mean, to me, I kind of interpreted. I'm still shocked. I don't want to go deep into it. I'm still shocked that they decided to go Brock Rollins again and then have Rollins beat Brock again. To me, this signals Brock's probably done with Raw, and he's probably just going to be hanging, just sitting and waiting until SmackDown goes to Fox. I don't know.
And that's what I would do with him.
Yeah.
I think when by keeping him off TV for the next couple months, it makes much more impact when he's on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, we get Revival versus a Lucha House Party. So again, another kind of random match here, and in the mix of that, as we have these guys, the 24/7 breaks out with the entire conga line of 24/7 participants. The Revival actually pin, and both of them become co-24/7 champions for a few moments until R-Truth can grab it back. R-Truth now in his 12th 24/7 title reign. For those of you keeping score.
Nope, nobody is.
I am. And then just sticking with the 24/7 as I trying to keep my place here. Sticking with 24/7, he's backstage with Carmella, and then Elias attacks him with a guitar. Elias pins, and Elias leaves Raw tonight as your most recent and current 24/7 champion. So
who knows? Maybe I don't have high hopes, but I hope instead of this being a downward movement for him, it's a upward movement for the title.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I hope. Yeah, we'll see. I'm kind of getting over the 24/7 stuff. I thought it was good for a while, but now it's still amusing enough, but it is getting a little redundant.
Do something with it though. Yeah. These towns have got to do with how anybody in that locker room could watch what Drake Maverick has done with that title, and they're not inside their heads trying to write things down and figure things out for their character on how they could do something similar without copying him. You know what I'm saying? And make this theirs, make this their own, is beyond me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'd be fighting creative like crazy, saying, just give me, I'm not even asking for time on TV tonight. Just let me shoot a little something with my phone, watch it, let us know what you think. At least do something. Don't just wait on them to book you and write this crap for you, because it's going to be stupid. It's going to be the conga lines. It's going to be you chasing people in the middle of friggin' the arena and pinning each other by their crapper. It's going to be stupid crap like that. Nobody cares about. It's annoying, and it's a waste of my damn time watching TV.
Well, that's what's wild is that, it seems so shallow in the sense of, okay, let's just keep having random people pin and eventually R-Truth gets it back. But look at the amount of effort they film. They're filming stuff on planes when they're going to Europe. They're filming at Drake Maverick's wedding. I mean, they have done more external filming for this than almost any other segment any other story I can think of. So it's weird. It's like they go real simple and shallow on Raw or SmackDown with just a bunch of people chasing each other, but yet they do all this extra filming on.
Okay, but isn't that somebody's phone when they were doing the filming on the plane, and then make Drake Maverick's wedding? He's local here in Orlando. That's NXT people that all day that could be using their cameras and send that footage back to them. They're not paying somebody millions of dollars to go worry about the 24/7 title.
Well, no, they're not sending they're not sending the full-on crew. I understand it, but still, it's
right.
The fact that there's that much attention that's going. I mean, maybe it is just the boys having fun and just embracing it. I don't know.
You don't think? I don't know. Maybe I'm giving the kid too much credit, but whenever I see the stuff on the plane, I just keep thinking Drake is putting his ideas out there, and they're taking some of them. Like the plane, I thought for sure.
And Justin, to your point, the hotel room and stuff that they did too with Renee Michelle, it does seem like creative cares more about this stuff than the rest of the show.
But I wonder. We always hear the stories from
TV hotel. Simple, doesn't cost a dime. TV hotel.
Right, or the OBGYN's office.
Wasn't it?
It was a bad set backstage in Pittsburgh for the OBG. But again, I don't know. Maybe this is just something that's just so easily amusing to Vince, and maybe it's a layup for creative writers. Just toss things out that you're going to get them to laugh, and it keeps you in a good graces with them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But don't you have to worry about him eventually, butting in and going, it'd be great, and everyone's like, what are you gonna do? And who's he gonna throw out there? And he throws somebody like major out there, going, let's put Bray Wyatt in it. Bray Wyatt would be perfect. It's the danger of getting Vince involved or to like something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I will agree. If the internet probably would burn if the Fiend is chasing the 24/7 title.
I would burn.
Wrestling Inc. would just go black.
Like,
all right, so probably what was the highlight, at least headline-wise, of the night comes here. We get Natalya coming out, selling her loss to Becky Lynch, and she references that it's been a year since she lost her father, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Just as she does that, music we haven't heard in, 4 or 5 months since WrestleMania. Sasha Banks comes out, obviously to a great pop, baby facing it up, hugging the kids, kissing babies, gets in the ring, gives the nice hug, looks like she's going to shed a tear, and then boom, Deck Snatty rips her hair off, rips a wig off to reveal that rips the pink hair off to reveal she has blue hair, and then proceeds to go balls to the wall, attacking Natalya, and then Becky Lynch comes out to interrupt that, and we get more vicious Sasha Banks. Matt Morgan, again, was this the highlight for you? This was for me.
Yeah, definitely. I like the new hair, and her attitude's awesome. It's not really a new attitude. She's had that attitude before. But I thought, if I'm being super nitpicky, I love the fact that she kicked both her asses. Don't get me wrong. I did not like that they threw their champion out there like that right away as well, instead of waiting for the next week to see how they could have. I don't know. Maybe they'll. But then as soon as I say that, as soon as those words come out of my mouth, I'm thinking, like, didn't we just say, like, she needs an opponent, like, right now? Becky Lynch. So to get to that opponent, I just think they could have taken their time. Not their time, but they could have done another week.
Yeah, like
Get into her.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I can definitely see that argument.
Awesome segment. The fans, once again, didn't know what the hell to do.
Yeah, you could tell. Like, I think WWE, they knew they were in Toronto. They thought Natalya talking about her father would probably get sympathy from the crowd.
They did start the Anvil chants. If you listen closely, then the music plays. They're just starting to chant Anvil.
Oh, were they?
Yes. Very listen, though.
Because when Sasha was beating the crap out of Natalya, they were chanting, "Thank you, Sasha."
Yeah.
They completely turned. They don't know what the hell they want. They did the same thing on Becky.
Yeah. When Becky came out there.
Becky, then those chants got immediately extinguished.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this was a pro Sasha crowd. The more she was beating on them, the more they were behind her.
Yes.
And Sasha was laying it in on Becky with the chair. She was attacking her outside the ring with the chair, just wailing in on her. And yeah, there was one shot. There was like a slap or something where Becky looked legitimately pissed.
Yes. So,
Yes.
You got her a couple times and not letting her come near her.
Right.
On her, though. She went right back in on her. I was like, damn, that's pretty good there, Josh. Good job, because you would have looked like a complete puss if you did not.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know Roger noticed the same thing.
A bigger star, quite honest. A bigger badass, I should say.
It's amazing that this is her first time really as a heel on the main roster. I mean, she was in Team BAD, but that wasn't really. Wasn't really. Yeah.
Yeah. This, and I tweeted that. I'm excited by this because the first time I saw Sasha Banks live was years ago. I went down to Performance Center, went down to NXT, and I watched her versus Bayley in the Iron Woman match. And Sasha did just some incredible heel work there, and I remember just thinking, like, wow, like she, some of the best female heel work I'd ever seen. So you're right. This might be the most sincere, truest heel attempt for Sasha Banks as a single star on the main roster. But to Matt's point, they brought Becky out there, and while it was very physical and it certainly let Sasha make a statement, I do think hindsight, of course, we have the luxury of doing hindsight booking. Hindsight, I do wonder if Becky's music hits, she comes out, maybe Sasha just hops over the barricade and chicken shits a little bit, and then maybe that would have stopped the "Thank You, Sasha" chant. Maybe that would have gotten some heat on Sasha and some boos on Sasha for her backing off. But again, hindsight.
And then next week you do the physicality and have the. But yeah, I mean, again, the crowd was hot. This was a very memorable segment.
It was definitely
Yeah, at one point, Sasha at one point slapped Becky and asked her where her balls were now. It's like,
oh, I thought she said boss. I didn't know.
It was balls, and then they bleeped something else out. So she was on fire here.
I didn't get the ball. Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? Was there something?
I think because she's the man. But this is the first women's match in a while, women's feud that feels like it could headline a pay-per-view since Rousey's been gone. And so if they keep it up and they don't do some stupid crap, I think this could be a pay-per-view main event.
She should have tons of just piss and vinegar ready to friggin' tear the microphone up with some world beater promos that she's going to put down to.
And that's what the potential is in this, because you have Becky that's what's elevated her to this level, is that she's kind of doing the whole don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness later, just on social media and the way she is. And Sasha, there's so much mystique around her, and so many, Corey Graves even alluded to it on commentary, like, oh, she's been away pouting. There's so many stories about her unhappiness. So I mean, these two, if they just want to let it fly, this verbally could be
the main event for sure, right?
Yeah.
But good potentially. But the only thing I did not like was Corey Graves. Way too quickly, way too all the way in. I told you guys, see what I was telling you? And one would say, well, isn't that what he should do? No. He shouldn't have been so upfront in the very beginning of the segment with ripping on her and stuff like that when she was a baby face.
Yeah, I felt like it would have been more effective if he was like, this has got to stop. She's had enough. More of that as opposed to, I told you she's mean. I told you she's selfish. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I thought
Raj, that is a tremendous impression.
It's not the best Corey Graves, but and I usually like him, but I thought he kind of took away from it, from how violent this was.
He was in like fifth gear as an announcer. He should have been in fifth gear as an announcer, worrying about Becky and the rest of their safety, while the wild woman was just putting the wood to everybody.
Yeah.
All right, so we go from that intriguing fight to a good old-fashioned squash match with the Viking Raiders up against Carter Mason and the distinguished Sebastian Suave. This was just obviously textbook 101.
I like their offense. I actually like the
Viking Raiders? Yeah.
It's original stuff. Their tandem stuff is pretty cool. Just, again, they're just holding a spot for themselves to not come back on TV for like 6 months. They're not going to do anything with them.
I feel like the lack of crowd reaction is taking me out of their matches too, because they do cool stuff and the crowd just seems they're just there.
They do. They really do cool ass stuff that I've never seen in tandem form on top of which I'm a fan of the tag teams. I don't know. Is it face paint? It's kind of corny to be a Viking, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and if you're a fan, if you also watch NXT, when you see these guys of who they were and you knew what they were prior to WWE being signed by WWE, and then even in NXT as the War Raiders, I mean, good gimmick, and then it just highlights the watered down version of and especially we went through 4 different name changes in like 5 weeks with them, so it's watered it down.
Guys, here's the difference between WWE now versus WWE back in the 80s. Back in the 80s, Roddy Piper, NWA, him versus Greg the Hammer Valentine, right? It was a chain match. What would they have against each other?
The dog collar match?
Dog collar match, thank you. It was a supposed, at the time, career-defining match for Roddy Piper in the NWA. And it was a big deal at the time, okay? He's a great example, though. If you take that guy and then look what he went to WWF and look what they turned him into. Look what the machine took in and spit back out. A super duper over the top brand and persona in Roddy Piper. Hulk Hogan himself, a great example as well. Look at him in AWA. Look what happened when Vince got him. I don't know where or when it stopped. Chris Jericho, WCW. It goes into the WWF machine. Look what that spit out. You know what I mean? I can name countless, hundreds of people probably over the years. They're able to take something and always make it bigger and better and much more mainstream appeal. Today, it's the opposite. What was more over in the indies, they can't take and make better anymore. They make it worse. And what's the one common denominator? Let me point out real quick. They didn't have a full-on creative team for all those. At the worst, I would say during the Jericho time, I would say you had like one writer, Russo, like maybe 2, maybe 3 at most, Cornette, Pritchard, and Russo, right? You didn't have a lot. There's too many creative team members. I don't care that it's 2019 and they have like 55 network things to worry about and this and that and that and the other thing. Keep them the freak away from Raw and SmackDown. Go back to 2 or 3 people. They can easily do it. When your company was on the line, you guys had a gun to your head. You're about to be put out of business. You do not have 45 writers. You don't need them. They're hurting it.
And I'd argue, like, Vince has always been best, kind of what you're saying, where he would take a talent and take him to the next level. Macho Man Randy Savage, Piper. They all had their gimmicks before, and Vince just took it and blew it up. Yeah. And when you think about the number of characters created, you get a lot of the TL hoppers, like those kind of gimmicks. Whereas the biggest names in the industry, Stone Cold Steve Austin, that was something he came up with. The Rock was something Jim Ross and The Rock came up with.
He took the name of Jake the Snake and he polished Jake the Snake into, I always thought, I kind of a joke. We're actually going to give the guy a snake, and look at how that was a tool.
Yeah.
And I do think that Vince did make certain characters back in the day to just do jobs, but they needed a character.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So like a tail hopper, people like that, it's like, this dude's never going to be a champion. We just need to give him a friggin' plunger and make him go to the ring, call him a plumber. I don't care.
Yeah, but during that period, they all had those gimmicks though. Like there were like no stars at that point, except for
you had to be an occupation. You had to be an occupation.
Yeah, you had Pirates and Salvatore Sincere and the Goon
and to be fair, TL Hopper, I think he was like down in Smoky Mountain. He was like the dirty redneck or dirty old boy,
dirty white boy.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so it wasn't like Vince like completely like reinvented the wheel. He just handed him a plunger and just said, you're still the dirty white boy. We're just gonna say that you happen to have a job,
and you're doing jobs.
Thank you. All right, moving on here on the matches as we near through the final hour. We get Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, women's tag champions, defending against the Kabuki Warriors, who are without Paige. Paige, as you can read on Wrestling Inc., off getting another neck surgery. So best to her. Yeah, best to her. And at the end of the day, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross win. Even on commentary, and Corey Graves, they note, Asuka, once one of the most dominant, feared women in the business, and now, they just noted she's just not been on a roll. So. Not much to really digest here, other than just failed attempt by Kabuki Warriors. Yeah.
If I'm the talent, dude, I'm going up to him after the show and say, "Look, Mother Fletcher, it ain't on me. I get paid by some idiot that takes a pen and puts it to paper and says I win or lose. Okay, so I haven't lost a step. Ain't nothing about me. I'm still the baddest in this locker room. They just ain't booking me that way. So I don't want to hear that crap come out of your mouth again."
Yeah, remember Asuka was submitting Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble earlier this year, and look at the crowd response. Yeah,
your job's to get us over, dude. I don't give a crap what part of the card we're on.
Yeah,
win, lose, that is your job.
And Asuka was over. She was over with that crowd. And
so he needs to talk about the creative team then, Corey Graves. You want to talk? Then get in there and dig on your damn creative team for screwing it up and screwing the pooch when it comes to Asuka. Say headline talent.
Asuka's amazing to me. I was in Minneapolis when she made her debut on the main roster.
Such a mystique.
And and I can't believe what's happened in 2 years.
Guys, let's be honest. Be honest, you guys. Give me your opinion right now. Name another girl in how many? I'll say the last few years, 3 years, 4 years. Do you believe was a bigger badass than her? I'm taking Ronda Rousey out of the equation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. She never even lost her NXT title. They just moved her to the main roster and vacated her title.
And you know what? I believe Asuka more than I did Shayna Baszler, and Shayna Baszler's a legit MMA fighter.
Yes.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Frustrating and I also think her partner is friggin' badass too. Not a badass, but like really badass in the ring. She's great.
We were talking about this the other night. She's awesome.
Well, they're awesome, but they get the loss. Alexa and Nikki roll on as champions.
Hopefully when NXT, where that's the rumor, they're going to go 2 hours live head-to-head with AEW, hopefully they can bring some of these guys back down.
They have to.
What do you do? Do you keep the Kabuki Warriors?
Well, no, I don't. You don't necessarily need them as a tag team, but you would be stupid not to say, okay, we have this percentage of talent on Raw and SmackDown that are being used sporadically. Let's take this chunk and move them back, especially
act as a female right away if they bring her back down there and use her the way they did.
Yeah. Because you have Asuka come down and feud with like Candice LeRae or something like that, and that could be.
Yeah, and then on the male side, you put guys like Cesaro back. You put Cesaro down. You put Cesaro in NXT if it goes to FS1 or something like that. I mean, and then the things that he can do in the match he could have. If you can just freshen it up, I don't care if it's a veteran, a guy who's in his late 30s like a Cesaro. If you just freshen it up by injecting some new talent that's not going to be used over here on Raw and SmackDown, and if you're paying them, if you're signing them to big fat contracts to keep them from going to AEW, you might as well get something out of them.
EC3 immediately comes to mind.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think he's thinking every time he's running in that conga line for 24/7?
Poor guy.
Yeah.
All right, and finally the main event: Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. Again, obviously, they worked within their TV time limits. It was what it was. Ultimately, a DQ after the OC jumps in the ring, starts beating down Seth Rollins. Looks like we're going to get Styles Clash from the top rope beforehand. And Ricochet comes out. He comes in for a save. Ricochet gets involved. And then after he gets discarded, we hear Braun Strowman come out. Braun Strowman cleans house, saving the day. Grabs the title, gives it to Seth, does a little handshake. We got the baby faces all standing tall as we end the show here. Matt Morgan, is this
reactions in this last segment? Everybody's pop was crescendoed on top of one another in the order that they did the run-ins with the baby faces, which is perfect. That's what you want. Send the crowd home happy. They did. And finally, Braun's back in the spot he needs to be in. I hope it continues.
Is he the next challenger for Seth? Is what I was going to ask you.
Ooh, I hope not, because that means he's going to have to lose, and I don't like that. I don't know. No, I think it's obviously AJ.
I think it's
even with AJ with the U.S. title on him.
I know that's weird, but
because Ricochet's involvement told me that we're going to get more AJ Ricochet, maybe.
I think they're going to get 6-man tags, number one.
Yes, obviously.
I think they're going to do that ad nauseum. Yeah. They could be good though, for what it's worth, and then some singles out of that. And I think they can still walk and chew gum, moving Ricochet AJ forward while still AJ being plugged in here to be another JOB whatever to Seth for the championship again.
And they've done U.S. champ versus world champ before.
Yeah.
Well, we just did this match at Money in the Bank, didn't we?
I agree. But who else are they giving Seth to?
And AJ's now a heel. It's a little different dynamic with the OC. I agree with you, Justin. I actually thought that they were kind of teasing that too with Strowman and Seth. Like next week, they're going to do the 6-man tag with the OC against Strowman, Ricochet, and Seth, and then they have like the
babyface match. He's going to get out popped by Braun. It won't even. I'm predicting it.
Yeah, I agree. I think he will too.
More death to the poor kid.
Yeah. So I didn't get to talk to you guys after SummerSlam, so I don't want to rehash too much. But the situation we find ourselves in is the exact confusion I had going into SummerSlam. They have Brock cash in. They make Brock champion again. This is right at the same time where we find out that Paul Heyman's is in control. So Brock becomes champion again, and they have a battle royal to determine who the number one contender is going to be. So you have an easy opportunity to bring somebody fresh to the number one contendership. They don't. They go back with Seth. So then it's like, all right, well, what's the point here? Is Brock going to go and kill Seth, and they're waiting for somebody new? But no, they do the exact same thing that happened at WrestleMania.
They think that they were adding more, not a layer, but they thought they were making Seth have to fight through a ridiculous amount of odds to get his title reshot, whatever you want to call it, match again. Does that make sense?
I get no, yeah, but they just had an opportunity. They had an opportunity to go fresh, and we're back in the same situation.
Stupid way to do a battle royal, by the way. You don't throw it away like that for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where you go with Seth, and
I don't either.
And I wouldn't turn Strowman heel again.
No, they don't. They want to cheer him. They want to cheer him,
and they did that last year. It just kind of failed. Yeah.
All right. Well. Yeah, I mean, honestly, when they said coming up next, Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles, and we had not seen Bray Wyatt or The Fiend.
Yeah, that's right.
Part of me thought, are we ending the night with The Fiend teasing Seth Rollins?
I did. I thought, and then I'm like, oh crap, Fiend's a SmackDown guy.
Well, I was talking to Raj about this before we started. They had The Fiend always show up in person and attack whoever on Raw. They would do the Firefly vignettes on SmackDown. So if he shows up tomorrow, then maybe that is the sign that, okay, they're putting him on the SmackDown side because they are slowly doing away with this crossover again. So maybe, I don't know. But
Yeah, it was still 6 SmackDown guys on Raw tonight, but with the Fiend, I hope they don't have it on TV every week. It's a special, it's such a cool gimmick. So hopefully it's just a thing where you have to. It's kind of rare on TV.
Okay.
I hope that he only wrestles as the Fiend and he only wrestles at pay-per-view.
On pay-per-view, yeah, I agree.
But
right, we haven't seen them have that kind of restraint before. But we'll see.
right. They can't help themselves.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
They get a new toy and they just kind of break the damn thing quickly.
Right. Yeah.
By the way, did you see they edited the YouTube clip? They put the YouTube clip up of his entrance from SummerSlam, and then hours later took it down, put it back up, and they took out the severed head lantern. So apparently somebody must have complained about that.
Good God, come on.
Soft. SAWFT, soft.
So soft. Come on. Is there anything nowadays that doesn't offend somebody somewhere?
Matt, you just offended somebody by asking that question.
Literally. It's ridiculous. Hey, the dog crossed the road. What'd you say? What? There's like nothing.
It's a puppy say. American.
Yeah, you can't do anything. It's getting out of hand. That's ridiculous. You're watching a professional wrestling show full of characters, not real life stuff. Characters. Like, they're gonna call movies, and is a guy gonna leave a movie theater because they're so offended in the middle of a movie and say, "I need this taken out of there." Wait, now this offended me. Like.
Well, and the severed head, everyone knows that's a doll. It's not like there's a people are worried that that's an actual severed head. So
it has some realism to it, right? But it added to the character that
awesome.
We were paying to watch and be entertained by.
Yeah.
It's like a movie.
Yeah, a lantern head is a far cry from Muhammad Hassan threatening to behead the Undertaker. So
yeah,
a little bit different. Raj, we got some news we can talk about.
Yeah, so first off, so they made it official. The Fox debut on Friday, October 4th is also going to be the SmackDown 20th anniversary. So they already announced Sting, Goldberg, Hulk Hogan. So they're already getting the big names out there. Undertaker's featured on the graphic. So
has Sting ever been on an episode of SmackDown ever?
No. No.
That's
no,
funny.
I don't think so, yeah.
Funny.
No.
And Goldberg was on, when he was on a few earlier this summer to promote Super Showdown. I think that was his first time ever.
I do too. Yeah, and it felt weird. It came off really good, if you guys remember.
Yeah, no, he was. He did that promo, and
yes.
he was great.
Yeah, he was.
So that's the big thing. So they're going to lay out all the stops. We've said this ad nauseum with Raw Reunion, Raw 25. Hopefully they shoot a big angle and get some of the younger guys over and not just showcase the old guys as the stars.
All the old guys want to do it. Stop getting in everybody's way.
I'll say this though, so that's early October, and the next Saudi show is like a couple weeks later. And I keep saying this as we see all these crazy darts on the wall nostalgia matches. I keep saying, if we're ever going to see Sting versus Undertaker, it will be for a Saudi show because of the money. Because the Saudi shows seem to demand this intense nostalgia, and the work rate does not have to be great.
A trap in the middle of the ring, and nobody's going to care. It's
so
not WrestleMania.
You could have Undertaker Sting stare down or something like that, and lead into the Saudi show, and that would be.
I think after Goldberg versus Undertaker, I don't think they want to take that. I don't think they want to do that anymore.
Sting won't concuss himself on his locker room door before he walks to the ring.
I don't think Sting can get cleared.
Well, that's the biggest obstacle, actually, right there.
So, anywho, so that's big. Matt, the big news. A lot of people tweeting you about this. Orange Cassidy signing with AEW.
You're welcome, buddy. No problem.
Are you taking a 10% booking fee?
Yeah, right. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for myself that I get to watch him. I get to watch him on the weekly show. Hopefully, they got to figure out. Like I told you, remember, like, hey, I got legit offers to work him after we were joking about it on here. Not joking, but saying what a fan I was. I was like, I wouldn't do his gimmick justice. Like, you have to have a certain kind of talent that can work with him to make that work. You know what I mean? It's not for everybody. When you start putting anybody and everybody in there, it's super hokey, and it's not as funny as it should be. You know what I mean? That makes sense? Hopefully AEW will do it right with him, and they can choose the right people to do it with him with.
And I'm sure they won't be putting him on TV every week because that's one of those gimmicks that
you can't.
Yeah,
you cannot do that, and that's why it makes it so good, though, as well. I think.
Yeah. So, Another signing, Cody Rhodes saying that basically so far only 40% of the roster has been revealed. So there's a lot more coming up in the next couple of months. And finally, the G1 concluded. Kota Ibushi defeated Jay White to win the tournament. And Kenta turned heel. He turned on his tag team partners Yoshihashi and Ishii. And Shibata came out. It was kind of a surprise appearance. His career is over after an errant headbutt. He had bleeding on the brain. Most likely his career is over, but he came out, was trying to help the baby faces. Kenta and the Bullet Club laid him out, beat him down. They avoided his head, but they did put a beat down. And so, Kenta, the former Hideo Itami, is the newest member of the Bullet Club.
Isn't it interesting? Like the Bullet Club feels like their stock is the lowest it's ever been worldwide, and at this point is the time where WWE finally decides to put Styles, Gallows, and Anderson together and call themselves the only club that matters. I find the timing weird.
Yeah.
Why? What do you mean?
Like my point being, if you've had Styles, Gallows, and Anderson all in WWE for what now 3-4 years, it strikes me as odd that they waited this long to put them together. And waited to tout themselves as the original club, the only club that matters. They've waited to the point to where the Bullet Club, the brand of Bullet Club, is at its lowest stock that it's been. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you have done it years ago? But
when the Bucks were still when they first came in, Gallows and Anderson's to Raw, I could have sworn the Bucks and Kenny and the rest of them were still in the Bullet Club.
That's what I mean.
But they still tried to push them as the club in WWE, if you remember.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you? Everybody wanted them with AJ and Finn and all together, and WWE kept avoiding it. It makes me like, why wouldn't you have done it then to like fire your best missile?
They were still doing because I think they were still fighting the grain, going against the grain that they don't think this is that over. This is coming from an indie-rific company in their eyes. That's the way WWE thinks. We didn't create it. We're not putting this crap over. And then they saw they were wrong. And maybe this is where we should put these guys. This is how we should put these guys. Let's put them with AJ. Oh, well, you know what? Maybe we should have been doing this the whole time. They did put him with AJ, and that was a good faction. Should have kept them together. And now they brought them back together. And this club is 1,000 times more over than the Bullet Club right now.
Yeah.
The OC.
Yeah.
Which is shocking to me.
Yeah. So, a lot of people raving online with this angle.
Jay White is no Bullet Club guy. Right? This is called spade right now. There's a lot of guys in that club that you would not.
Jeff Jarrett was in the Bullet Club at one point.
For like a hot second, it did not work. That did not fit.
Right.
Well, we booked Jeff Jarrett here at IWC Wrestling, and I watched him wrestle in Bullet Club tights, and I was just like, man, never thought I would see Jeff Jarrett in the Bullet Club. Then again, he was in the NWO, he was in everything else. So.
Bullet Club tights to the show in Pittsburgh.
What?
He was wearing Bullet Club trunks.
Yes.
While he was in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Damn.
It wasn't long. It was just, I think it was just when they were doing the Global Force Wrestling was promoting the New Japan.
For a minute, it was like for 30 seconds.
Yeah. He had his tip. Jeff wears those shorts that he wears. He had those Bullet Club.
Jeff.
Well, Triple H kind of got to be in the Bullet Club in his own way, right? When they were in Japan, he teamed with AJ and Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. So, and then a few weeks later, he's back with DX against those guys on Raw. Yeah,
it was so weird.
Yeah, but as far as the news goes, that is about it. Jack Swagger has been taking some shots at Goldberg on Twitter for his match, and
why?
I think he just feels like Goldberg's taking the spot from younger talent. Again, I don't. You can't. He's not wrong, but at the same time, there's not that many guys that are so over that they would have justifiably filled that spot. So
yeah,
By the way, again, when Goldberg had his match at SummerSlam, I watched the watch along simultaneously, and Matt Riddle was in the room, and I gotta say that was some of the most entertaining stuff. Was because Riddle apparently ran into Goldberg backstage, and he's talking about it, and then he's cutting his promo on Goldberg while the match is going on, and obviously Goldberg looked really good, but if WWE, you might as well they kind of acknowledge it by letting Riddle be in the room to do the watch along during this Goldberg match, but this thing's taken on a life of its own on the internet with his comments.
I think that's just we talked about this last night. I feel like that's just with such a small percentage of fans. I think Matt Riddle, if he were to go out in front of a regular Raw crowd, I'm not talking about a post pay-per-view Raw crowd, no one would know who he is.
No, I get that. He's not on a recognition of Goldberg level, but I wonder the fact that they ran with that, and
he's not on Gilbert level as far as in the normal WWE mainstream fan audience. I mean, dead serious. Gilbert was on WWE TV,
right? Yeah.
I love Dwayne Gill.
But yeah, I think that's everything.
All right. Well, that was Raw tonight. We hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you leave a comment. Do whatever you got to do. Show some love. Of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. The audio will be also archived on our audio channel that you can find on iTunes and all across everywhere. Tomorrow we got Winkley during the day. We got SmackDown post show at the night. I'll be back with that for all your good stuff with SmackDown tomorrow night. Matt Morgan, anything you want to promote?
No.
None. Okay. Raj.
This week, literally a ton of interviews. We got Mark Henry, Dolph Ziggler, Matt Taven, Alex Shelley, Mick Foley. So just a ton of stuff this week. So just keep checking.
Is Alex Shelley's done with? Did you already do it?
Yeah. So that is up on our YouTube channel now, and there's also an article on the site from it today.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
We have to get Matt Morgan to interview Orange Cassidy.
No kidding.
Come on, Raj. Let's set it up.
I know. I'll have to work and see what I can do. He doesn't do interviews right now because he stays in character, but
make it even better.
Yeah, I'll see if he'll make an exception. And yeah, thanks everyone for listening.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.